Do you ever wake up feeling like your body has aged 10 years overnight? Joints so stiff it's hard to get out of bed, your mind foggy as if covered by a mist, heart racing for reasons you don't understand? You stand in front of the mirror, see a tired person, and tell yourself, well, it's old age, I guess I have to accept it. Do you believe that what happens in the first 5 minutes after you open your eyes can determine whether you live to be 75 or 95? Do you believe that the difference between 70-year-olds who still jog every morning and those of the same age who rely on wheelchairs lies in a simple habit that 90% of us are ignoring? But the truth is, your body isn't just aging naturally. Your body is screaming for help. Every morning, in the first 5 minutes after waking up, your body is undergoing a silent crisis. Blood thickens after a night of dehydration, joints are as stiff as rust, and muscles begin to eat themselves to create energy. This isn't normal old age. This is a cry for help that we've learned to ignore. Today, I will share with you exactly what Harold Miller, a 70-year-old engineer from Ohio, did to transform his body from a typical image of elderly decline into a man who can run 5 miles every morning. No expensive medications, no complex surgeries, no strict diets. Just 5 simple steps in the first 5 minutes of each morning, steps that science has proven can add 20 healthy years to your life, but 90% of people over 65 are still overlooking. Harold Miller sat in the doctor's office, his hand trembling as he held the test results. The doctor shook his head. Harold, your cardiovascular situation is very serious. I have to be honest, you may not have much time left. Returning home, Harold sat looking at a picture of his grandchildren and wondered, will I live long enough to see them grow up? That night, he cried. Not because he was afraid of dying, but because of regret for a life he felt he hadn't known how to care for properly. Then one day, his neighbor, a retired doctor named George, saw Harold struggling to step down from his porch. Harold, can I share something with you? I know you're having health difficulties. George told Harold about a former patient of his. She was 75, worn just like you. But now she's 82, still gardening every day. Her secret is just the first 5 minutes of each morning. Harold was skeptical. What can 5 minutes change? George smiled. Harold, have you ever seen a large tree fall? Not because of a strong storm, but because tiny termites ate it from the core. Our bodies are the same. It's not major illnesses that kill us, but small, wrong habits every day. That night, Harold decided to try. There's nothing to lose, he thought. Step 1, awaken the brain first. The next morning, instead of slowly stirring as usual, Harold lay still in bed and began to do what George had taught him. He closed his eyes and tried to recall the previous day in reverse order. Last night I watched the news at 9 o'clock. Before that, I had dinner with Mary, and even before that. At first, Harold could only remember a few fragments. But he persisted. George had explained, Harold, the brain is like a car. If you don't warm it up slowly on a cold morning, it will jerk. The brain is the same. After 8 hours of sleep, it needs to be started gently. Science proves that the first 30 minutes after waking up are the golden time for forming new neural connections. During this period, the brain produces a lot of BDNF, an important protein that nourishes brain cells. Recalling the previous day in reverse order isn't a memory game. It's a way to train the brain to work actively, creating new neural pathways. After a week, Harold noticed something strange. I started to remember small details that I never paid attention to before. The color of Mary's shirt, the taste of my morning coffee, even the feeling of the wind blowing through the window. Harold's brain was waking up. Step 2, Lifeline for the heart. Immediately after completing the memory exercise, Harold reached for the glass of warm water he had prepared by his bedside. 480 milliliters of warm water with a slice of lemon. He took small sips, feeling the warm water flow down his throat. Why drink water right after waking up? Harold had asked George. Do you know why strokes and heart attacks often occur in the morning? George answered with another question. Because after a night's sleep, the body loses nearly half a liter of water through breath and sweat. Blood becomes as thick as syrup, and the heart has to work twice as hard to pump blood throughout the body. Harold imagined it. Thick blood was like trying to suck honey through a straw. His heart had been struggling so much every morning when he woke up. Why warm water and not cold water? Cold water constricts blood vessels, George explained. Just like when you wash your face with cold water, your skin tightens. Blood vessels do the same. Warm water helps dilate vessels, allowing blood to circulate more easily. And the lemon? Lemon provides natural potassium and vitamin C, which helps soften blood vessel walls and have a mild anti-inflammatory effect. After just 1 week of drinking warm lemon water every morning, Harold felt a difference. I used to feel dizzy when I stood up. Now, that feeling is gone. Step 3. Save your disintegrating muscles. What Harold learned next shocked him. George said, "Harold, do you know your body is eating itself every morning?" "What do you mean?" From 3 a.m. to 8 a.m., an older person's body enters a phase of muscle breakdown to create energy. If you don't eat protein within the first 30 minutes after waking up, your body will continue to eat your own muscles. Harold thought of his peers who were becoming increasingly thin and weak. Were they gradually melting from the inside? George mentioned a study. Older adults who eat 25-30 g of high-quality protein within the first 30 minutes after waking up reduce muscle loss by up to 64% over 5 years. Harold chose a simple method, a smoothie with whey protein each morning, or 4 egg whites with 1 whole egg. It's not what I eat, but when I eat it, he realized. There was an old story George once told. Once upon a time, there was a very hard-working farmer, but he always looked thin. One day, a physician passed by and asked, "Do you eat breakfast?" The farmer replied, "I work from 5 in the morning, and it's not until 10 o'clock that I have time to eat." The physician shook his head. "You are forcing your body to work without fuel. It has to burn its own muscles for strength." After a month of eating protein regularly every morning, Harold felt, "I no longer feel tired in the afternoon. My arms and legs seem stronger." Step 4. Awaken blood circulation. George explained to Harold what happens in the body after a night of lying still. "Harold, imagine the blood in your body is like water in a pond. When the water doesn't flow, it stagnates, can become congested, and form a film. After 8 hours of lying still, blood tends to pool in the lower part of the body, especially the legs. The brain, the most important organ, receives the least blood supply." Harold remembered the mornings he felt dizzy and off balance when he stood up. "That's a sign of brain oxygen deprivation," George said. Research from Johns Hopkins shows that if blood is not activated properly immediately after waking up, the risk of stroke increases threefold in the first 2 hours of the day. George taught Harold a simple exercise he called awakening the river of blood. Harold stood beside the bed, feet shoulder width apart. He raised both hands high as if trying to touch the ceiling, while breathing deeply through his nose. "Imagine you are pulling energy from the earth up through your body," George instructed. Then Harold slowly lowered his hands, exhaling gently through his mouth. "Now imagine you are releasing that energy throughout your body." Next, Harold rotated his shoulders backward 5 times, as if trying to loosen invisible ropes that had tightened his shoulders all night. Then he rotated them forward 5 times. Finally, he raised and lowered his heels 10 times. "This is the most natural way to push blood from the legs back to the heart," George explained. "Your calf muscles are acting like a biological pump." The whole thing only took 60 seconds, but Harold felt an immediate change. "I felt like a warm current flowing through my body. My mind was clear, my body warm." George shared a philosophy. "Harold, the human body is like an old clock. If you don't wind it every day, it will stop running. Blood is the mainspring of the body." Step 5. Release stiff joints. The final step George taught Harold was what he called the body's morning greeting ritual. "Harold, have you ever watched a cat? Every time they wake up, they always stretch, arch their backs, and flex. They instinctively know what their body needs," George said. After a night of lying still, not only does blood stagnate, but joints also become stiff. Joint fluid, what doctors call synovial fluid, thickens like honey left in the refrigerator for a long time. If you don't warm up this fluid before making strong movements, your joints will wear down like wheels without lubrication, George warned. Harold learned to perform the 90-second ritual. Sitting on the edge of the bed, he rotated his ankles 10 times clockwise, then 10 times counterclockwise. Imagine you are drawing perfect circles, George instructed. Next, Harold made small circular motions with his knees, 10 circles for each side. This is the gentlest way to activate the knee joints without putting pressure on them. Then Harold stood up, holding onto the bed frame for balance, and gently leaned his torso to each side. Your spine has been straight for 8 hours. Now it's time to remind it that it can bend. Finally, he slowly rotated his torso to the left and right, as if looking over his shoulder to greet a neighbor. He finished with 10 slow shoulder rotations backward. The whole thing only takes 90 seconds, Harold remarked, but I feel like my body has been oiled again. George shared, there's an old saying, old age is not inevitable. Old age is the result of ceasing to move. You are teaching your body how to move correctly every morning. The miracle begins to appear. After 2 weeks of consistently performing these 5 steps, Harold began to notice small but significant changes. I don't need an alarm clock anymore, Harold told George. My body naturally wakes up at 6 a.m., and I feel full of energy. In the 3rd week, Harold's wife, Mary, remarked, have you noticed you're different? You walk more steadily, your voice is clearer. In the 2nd month, Harold went shopping by himself without Mary needing to accompany him. Before, I was always afraid I would fall or get dizzy when I went out alone. In the 3rd month, Harold started walking around the neighborhood every afternoon. In the 4th month, he increased it to brisk walking. In the 5th month, Harold tried slow jogging. I feel like I've been reborn, Harold told George. After 6 months, Harold returned to the doctor for a routine checkup. The doctor looked at the test results and shook his head in disbelief. Harold, what happened? Your blood pressure went from 160/95 to 125/80. Cholesterol from 280 to 180. The electrocardiogram shows incredible improvement. Are you taking any new medication? Harold smiled. Doctor, I just changed the first 5 minutes of my morning. George once told Harold a story. Once upon a time, there were 2 farmers who grew rice. The first farmer tended his rice field all day, watering, fertilizing, and killing pests. The second farmer only spent 10 minutes each morning checking his field, but he did it every day without fail. At the end of the season, the second farmer's field yielded twice as much. Why was that? Harold asked. Because the second farmer understood that rice plants need consistent care every day, even if it's just a little. The first farmer only cared for them when there was a problem. The human body is the same. Harold realized big changes in life don't come from occasional large efforts, but from small actions repeated daily. 5 minutes each morning is not magic. It's science. It's understanding how the body works and how to care for it properly. Harold is now 70 years old, but his doctor says his body is like that of a healthy 55-year-old. He runs 5 miles every morning, plays tennis with his grandchildren, and most importantly, he no longer worries about being a burden to his family. I feel like I've been given a second chance in life, Harold shared. If you ask me what truly determines longevity, I won't talk about medicine or hospitals. I'll talk about the habits you repeat every day. And the morning is where it all begins. Harold is not special. He is just someone who decided not to accept that old age means decline. 5 minutes each morning, that's all it takes to change the last 20 years of your life. Tomorrow, when you open your eyes, try following these 5 steps, awaken your brain by recalling the previous day. Drink 480 milliliters of warm water with lemon. Eat 25-30 g of protein. Move for 60 seconds to activate circulation. And spend 90 seconds loosening your joints. You don't need to change your whole life. Just change how you start each day. Because, as Harold has proven, age is just a number, but vitality is a choice.